Jeremiah, any practical examples or situations from your experience that you've seen this sort of situation, and what have you been able to do?
I have a very real world example of this, presented a top shelf specialist in their field. And they did a joint venture with this other company that is a conglomerate in another jurisdiction. And because it involved two very sophisticated, very savvy parties, managed, run by very big personalities, negotiations in relation to the shareholders agreement were not the easiest, right? Citing their past experience and saying how well it worked for them. We got to the deadlock resolution mechanism eventually. All the directors got sick of us as well, and they eventually gave the instruction to both councils. Drop this point, replace the entire deadlock clause with just the simplest write-up saying that in the event of any dispute, both sides shall mutually agree on the approach, which sounds very nice until you realize that the whole point of a deadlock clause is to deal with the situation when parties can't find their own path and own way forward. But that was their instructions, and we had to accede. 1 year later, unfortunately, a dispute did actually arise. They couldn't agree about how to manage a particular project, and then we turned to the shareholders agreement of the joint venture. How do we move forward from here? And the shareholders agreement said, as I said, that both parties shall mutually agree on the way forward. But the things they couldn't agree on the way forward. Both sides were threatening to sue each other for adjacent breaches of the shareholders agreement. As many of these cases eventually pan out, a settlement agreement was signed pursuant to which the joint venture was voluntarily dissolved. But the entire process took over a year. Multiple councils were appointed, not just in Singapore in that jurisdiction, but disputes lawyers, involved in other jurisdictions that the joint venture had gone into for various reasons. The whole thing could have been avoided and dealt with efficiently if parties had, as Mark said, right, you know, put in place proper documentation, proper procedures, proper processes to deal with a situation in which they disagree. But unfortunately, they did not, and that's what happened.